Hi, everyone. Welcome to Plant a Good Seed podcast. We are here with the amazing and brilliant Claudia Ricard. Be joining us in just a second. She is the English There she is, Claudia.
Hi. Hello.
It's so good to see you. It's always such a pleasure.
So, thank you for having me.
Well, so glad you're here. We're hoping that we can reach a lot of folks, and because, like I've said before, I feel like trauma is the real pandemic in our environment. But can you tell folks a little bit about?
A minute. I've got,
you okay?
This is typical. I've got an issue with hearing you right now, but I know you can hear me, so
Yes.
I will just talk. So I'm Claudia Ricard, the English therapist, and I absolutely love hypnotherapy, and this is what you were going to be talking about, isn't it? Really, I am a hypnotherapist. As you can hear, I'm English, and it is very, very funny that you have called me, because obviously English therapist, ET,
Yes.
and of course something I do is blast technique, so which with a light pen, so that's why you've had this
little finger
as the little finger. Yes, I know, it's just so funny. And then I'm going to have you laugh even more, because of course you're going to love this. I can hear you again now, by the way. My sons are called George and Lucas. So anyway, so that's great. But funny enough, okay, there is the reason why I do what I do is because and actually it's because of them. It's that they inspired me. They and as you know, I actually my speciality is dealing with anxiety, trauma and PTSD, and my sons had some trauma, and one in particular, and so I have just done whatever I can to and even if I can't necessarily help my own children, at least I know I can help other people's children. You're a child.
That's exactly right. Well, you help the parents, and then by helping the parents, you also help the children. So it just makes, because it seems like when I don't want to jump, I want to jump right into the trauma thing, because, it's like I said, there's so many people that I meet, and, they say these repeated stories, or they have these repeated habits and patterns and all of this stuff without realizing. And every now and then they'll bring out, their dad or their mom or their ex or an accident they were in or something. And then you see that so much of the behavior that controls our environment is actually because of trauma.
Well, absolutely it is. And it's like, and it's when that you're still talking, it's still there. It can even just be a significant emotional event. Okay. Right. It doesn't necessarily have to, we don't have to label it with the word trauma or even PTSD, but it's just that thing that gets you. It's like a big frog in your throat, and it gets stuck and it comes up your throat, behind your eyes, and it just makes you want to cry. And it's still there when you keep walking to all of your friends or whatever, and it's like this, and you go, I can't talk about it. And it's just like this. And what I can do is help turn that frog into a tadpole. So and
I never thought of it like a frog, because for me though, it felt so much, at least, and maybe because I'm an emotional person, maybe because I feel things so much, but it just felt so, it was a wall. It was like a castle. It was, all this stuff that's built around you to protect you from feeling that trauma again. And so, I mean, it's just amazing what you do.
Absolutely, Tish. And you see, this is when it is really difficult, because people do build armor around themselves, and they wear it. And so when they cross their arms, so when I see somebody, people say to me, "Oh, I didn't get an intake form," and I go, "I don't send one, because I want to see you telling me your stuff, and I want to see your bottom lip trembling.
Yes,
I want to see. I read the whole person. I want to see the change of color in your skin tone. I don't just listen with my ears. I listen to the body language. I listen to You know, it's the tightness, it's the eye movements, it's the because I know it's emotional when they look down, because that's when they're recalling it. So there's so many different things that I look at in the whole person. I see if they're fiddling, you know, all of these things. You know, it's just everything. It's the whole body language thing that I take into account of when I'm listening to someone's story. And then we can work. Oh, actually, and that's what's beautiful. I don't need to hear the whole story.
I love that when you first said that, and somebody doesn't have to go through everything.
No, I don't. It's just that I can hear little bits enough. I get enough, and in fact, even when they say you don't want to talk about it, I can see it because of the body language, because of the flush, because of the drain of the color, or the looking down, or the how the, you know, I can just tell, and the tone of the voice. So it's
Well, you're also a Reiki healer. You're an energy worker, so you tune into, you know, because there are people, you've got to admit, I mean, you're so intuitive, you'll see it, but there's people that their body language is everything's great, you know, that they've learned decades long, learned how to sit without, you know, locking themselves up. So they've learned certain things, but I think you pick up on what's the energy that's behind it. That energy doesn't lie. It's gonna happen, you know.
Well, that was how we met, wasn't it? It was because we were at a networking meeting, and I could feel your energy, and you were sort of like somewhere away, and I just thought, whoo. And and I can even feel it across here now. It's just like you were just blowing, and that was, you know, and so that was awesome. And I needed some of your energy at the time, which is why I did your Tai Chi. I would always promise myself to do your Tai Chi, to learn Tai Chi, and then I met you, and you just you were presented to me. The universe gave you to me, and it was just wonderful, and we had great fun.
And then vice versa, because let's also talk about a little bit about, like, I'll share my personal, not too much, but just I am a client of Claudia's, and I'm going to go back to Claudia because, again, we were talking about the onion, and it's like, okay, now that's in perspective. Now that frog is, you know, now we're all good. And then other things happen and trigger, and I'm allowing myself to be triggered, and I'm allowing myself to feel these emotions because of the patterns that have happened for 50 years. And I'm done with the patterns. I'm done with it, and I'm ready, you know, to move on. So you definitely can tune in to what somebody is working through and feeling in so many ways. It's not just the hypnosis that you offer, right? But you offer that, and I think with learning with the Tai Chi, because I'm a very private person, and, you know, if we hadn't have had some of those experiences, and if our energy hadn't connected, it might have taken more visits. But I really appreciate you being aware that let's go ahead and knock this out today. Let's go ahead. Let's do another one. Let's do another. I'm like, oh my God, I'm exhausted. But it's so amazing because it really does, I feel like, rewire your brain. And so many people go to conventional, like, I've got a list of folks, Claudia. There was another person today that contacted me and was like, I think I need to go see Claudia. And I was like, yes, we can talk all day long, but I cannot do for you what Claudia can do for you. But just the whole able to take people in such a kind and gentle way, and then you make people so comfortable with you. Like, I was extra comfortable because we'd gone through first, again, when you meet somebody, the energy, you know, it's either like, whoa, that's awesome, or got a little, and with you it was immediately awesome, and then the Tai Chi, and so I just trusted you. And I don't know if you remember, but the first time you blasted me, I just remember saying, I'm real private. I don't, you know,
and that was fantastic, is because actually you allowed yourself to be vulnerable, Tish. And so when people do have their armor on, and it is really difficult for me. I have some people with complex PTSD, and that they won't, and also they're on so much medication.
That's the other thing, right?
If people are on medication, it masks it because they're not allowed to see not allowed to feel the high highs or the low, you know, the highs and the lows. I mean, you know, I'm not talking about bipolar here. I'm just meaning normal ups and downs of life. But it's because they're sort of generally sort of flatlining. And so I need people to, I know it sounds awful, I need people to be vulnerable with me, safe enough to feel vulnerable with
Yes.
it. And it's wonderful, actually, because most people do. I even had somebody the other day, and she's been seeing me for a while now. Well, not a while, but we've got a lot of onions here, a lot of, and this last time she told me something that she hadn't, she'd only remembered. And she just said, and we dealt with it. And you know what? She was sick. She vomited. And that you can only imagine. So that was, and the purging for her. Fortunately, as you know, my house, I've got I had a bin there, a dusty trash can. In England, we call them bins. But I had, and there's a bathroom right opposite my office here. So she was, so she was able to be sick. The relief, the release that you can imagine.
Well, I'm thinking that's a total purge. That's a physical purge. That's a mental purge, emotional purge. Her body was releasing it, period.
Yeah.
There was no going back.
It was out.
That's
and
beautiful.
it was, she just went, oh, she was like, oh. And then she was exhausted. So then that, you see, because that's what people are like. It's like, I've got a little snow globe here. You can see all of that.
Yeah.
Like, and that's why then I do a nice relaxation with the hypnosis, with the hypnotherapy. And I brought in she got what came out of my mouth. I brought in a nice, beautiful sun that re-energized her, restored her, and all of that, and a magic cloud, which was able to take away any other concerns, worries, and issues. And it was, so, yeah, I just say, people get what comes out of my mouth. I just kind of know what I'm meant to say for that person.
Well, again, like we were talking, everybody's a little different. And I would imagine that, after you blast someone, after you go through that, then you have a more intuitive sense of what they need. I'm not just going to give them recording number 3, because I remember with me, you did it totally personal, and you did, I was going to the mountains. You even did it personal when I'm in the mountain, and it was just beautiful. So and those are gifts that you give people. Like, I've got those recordings forever.
That's right. So I record it on your phone. Yeah, that's what I do. So again, I give time, Tish. As you've said, it takes a long time to build that rapport. But when and you and I were able to do that over that, so which is why you didn't need quite so many sessions. But sometimes actually, it's just feeling that energy. Sometimes I can do it with people quite quickly, and but my first session, as you know, it's 2 hours.
Yeah.
And there's been, just recently, I've seen quite a few teenagers for anxiety about going back to school and things like that, and just one session.
Yeah.
I check in on them a couple of weeks later, and I get, how's it going? You use it? I think, oh, I'm just so much better, because they're listening to the recordings.
Well, you've reframed their mind, right? Because they were in the environment that caused that anxiety in the first place. At least that's the way I feel about it, is, you can't expect that same environment. So coming to you changes their environment, changes the structure, changes the way they think, right? That environment gives them those habitual brain patterns. And now you've kind of given them a different way to think about it, a different way to approach it, as well as that magic of your pen.
Yeah, but actually, I don't always do the blast for everybody, because if they haven't had a significant emotional event, then I don't always use it. But if somebody is, but what is wonderful is that I can literally just pass it backwards and forwards. This is my pen, and don't forget, I didn't create this. This is Nick Davies' work, okay? And he teaches people online as well. But I can just pass it backwards and forwards. If somebody just is like, why? I don't know why I'm feeling this way. Just pass it backwards and forwards, and I go, what's the first thing that comes to your mind as I'm passing it? Because their unconscious mind knows, because it's taking that memory into the left side again, so going backwards and forwards, and it's the first thing, and they go, and they will come out with it, and it's like, oh, no, it can't be that, and then it actually, you know what, it is when we go into it a bit more, and it's so yeah, it's quite interesting. I had someone again recently sort of like, why are you eating so much? Why are you, because she was like, I don't know why I'm doing this. And we just did it. And she came out with it. She went, oh, go.
Good.
You know,
Good.
so it's quite, and then we can work with it.
So let's talk about what hypnosis really is. Because again, sometimes when I tell people they need to come see you, I don't want to be, I'm not quacking like a duck, or, some of these old things people have seen on TV. And I'm like, I've done it. Hey, if I did quack like a duck, it was a lot of fun and it really worked. So you should try it. No, but seriously.
Okay. Well, I tell you what, we all go into hypnosis every day, every single person. And whether you go in, and all it is, it's just like tapping off the left side of the brain, which is the bit that is the critical side, the bit that might do maths, the bit that when you were consciously learning to drive.
Yep.
You were sort of like really taking it all in.
Yep.
We just kind of, because people who drive now, they drive unconsciously. Well, they don't drive unconsciously, but they use their subconscious mind because they know exactly what they're doing, because it's now habit. But a really good way to explain it is when people are watching TV program, okay, like especially even a sci-fi one, or something like Lord of the Rings, or even Superman, okay. It's when we kind of tap off that disbelief, and we then use our imagination, which is why we can watch, say, Superman, and he's flying.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, we're like, go and save him. Go and do that.
Right.
Or then we're watching a film and we're like, we start crying. We get emotional into it. We're really tapped into it. Our eyes are open. We're completely in control. What about men? What about men when they're watching sport? I mean, even women. Sorry, I shouldn't be so sexist here. But watching sport, it's only because my husband does this. It's like, and it's like, I'm going, hello, can I get you a drink? Do you want? Because they're like, they can't hear me because they're like so in the zone. But again, sport. When people aren't playing sport or running, when I used to run, it was like, I even noticed once, I was so in the zone that my podcast was playing the same music over and over. And I hadn't even noticed for about, 3 or 4 miles that I'd been listening to the same thing. So I was so doing something else, so in my head. So they suddenly went, oh, I've listened to that for an hour or so now. Or whatever it was, I don't know, not that long, but anyway. So it was quite funny. And children, when they are, when they're playing, they're in the zone, they're playing Lego or drawing. Artists, they must go into they're tapping off, and they're going into the creative side, the right side of the brain. And it's wonderful. And that is all I do. Okay. So with my voice, I can take people down into a relaxed state, or sometimes, again, I don't always use the relaxed one. When I'm doing sort of like weight control or smoking or other things, I take people into, I'm much more gun-ho, if you like, sort of like, I am. But again, and I will snap my finger, and it's like, and it's like, and afterwards they're going, oh my gosh, it's amazing. But even then, I still have people going like that with their heads. So it's not just and they don't get they don't get to lie back on my recliner on my sofa.
Under the blanket?
No, they don't.
Oh,
I get them. I know I'm really mean. I get them to perch on the end. So if I'm embedding, so it's, what do you want me to embed into your mind? I'm embedding self-esteem and confidence. So they're sat on the edge of the seat to sit tall. Okay, either like, and smile, and with their eyes closed. And again, and what I do, I get people to change their physiology. It's the best way to change someone is to get them to stand tall, man, or Wonder Woman, and he said Superwoman then, but Wonder Woman, and it changes your physiology. So I build in a lot of enthusiasm, and we have a good laugh as well, of course, because you know that. So, hello.
There's Mark Lee. Oh, there goes Mark Lee.
I popped back in. Sorry about that, Tish. Sorry that took a long time, but Zach was getting really pumped up on his show yesterday, so we were over there with Zach in the front seat, but he was definitely getting real pumped up. But I was watching a little bit of y'all's conversation as well, so I just glad to meet our guest and everything. I was telling Tish yesterday that I have sometimes had fear of certain folks, and one of those was clowns. The other was hypnotists, because I've always been like one of those folks that was wondering um, whether they would hypnotize you to do
Quack,
something that
quack.
you did not want to
Yeah.
do, like quack like a duck or do other things like that, and make embarrass you in some way or another. But a friend of mine had told me that you actually can't be hypnotized or even gotten to do those kind of like things unless in some level you want to do that. So I was wanting to know what your
Absolutely.
thought was about that.
Okay, no, Mark, and I've had proof of this. Okay, so but you can, people who do those things on the shows, they want to do them. Okay, so they're easily suggestible and they want to quack like a duck. They want to do it. And I'll tell you a little story. We were on holiday. Okay, we were in Mallorca, and then we went past a bar, and it said show hypnotist wants people to go. So I said, right, we're going, because I want to be there. I'll save anybody if they have an issue or whatever. But I made my husband go up. All right, and I said, you're going up because he's been my guinea pig forever since So he goes just like that. As soon as I start talking, he goes. Actually, I think he's just an excuse probably to go to sleep. But anyway, he goes. But
Time for nap.
I know. I get to 40 winks. He went up. Okay. Now, and as you'll notice, Mark, is that when they have, he brought up about 20 people. 20 people put their hands up. And he does an induction really quickly. The lights closed, and he's talking authoritative. And sometimes you'll only end up with 6 people left up there, because he knows, because he can feel them. He can feel the hand drop. Okay. And if you remember, I did a hand drop with you. Okay. Yes. So he will send them back to the audience. Now my husband was left up there with about 4 other women. Okay. And then it was and the man, he started saying, imagine you're cold, imagine you're really cold, and they all started going like this, and they started snuggling into my husband, actually, because of course men are much warmer, aren't they? And it was really, honestly, it was so funny. And then it was like, imagine you're like really hot now, and one woman, she's like anyway, he was going, and now you're fine again, you're a normal temperature. But otherwise the rest of them were going,
that's hilarious.
I know. And then, of course, and then there were some things that he suggested they do, and my husband didn't want to do them. And that was interesting. So he actually did. He wanted to ride like as though he was a jockey. Okay, so he was there galloping on a horse. I tell you what, he even had a baby. He had a baby, Mark. All right, and Tish. And I tell you what, this was hilarious. Okay, this baby. No, I know, because I was watching. I was going, oh my God. And it popped out really easily.
You should have had 12 hours of labor, damn it.
I know, I did. And then he was like, crazy.
Your husband.
Yeah, and then he sang the baby a song. Right, hilarious. However, when he said to them all, put on these glasses, put on these fake glasses, and I want you to see everybody in the audience, except for children, see them naked. All right? My husband didn't want to do it. He didn't want to do it. The women did it. Women are so naughty. The women's went, whoa. My husband, he didn't want to do it. Okay. So he didn't so he was in control, wasn't he?
He's holding his baby. That he knows he shouldn't be looking at other women when you got your baby in your lap. Come on, man.
And then he again, they had this other one. He was picked up this a little child, with permission, of course, and he took them through the air. But it was as though he said, to them, I will be invisible, but you'll just see. So it was as though they was just seeing a little child flying in the air. But my husband said he wasn't interested. He thought that's a load of old rubbish. He couldn't see him, but he knew it wasn't possible. Whereas the women were all going like this, and he was like that. And again, at the end, he told them all that they would all buy him a drink at the end. And again, my husband didn't. but the women did.
Oh, the women did buy him a drink. Okay. So suggestive thought was there on some level or another that they were gonna buy him a drink or anything. Because I sometimes wonder about those shows, more the show version, not like the therapy version that you do. But I sometimes wonder how many of those are actually more like plants that they're folks that, like you said, that folks already know. It's kind of like the way that, to some degree, not to detach from some of y'all's previous conversations, but it's kind of like the way that churches sometimes will have people that are planted in there to do certain things. And
and they can walk again suddenly, and they can do this. Yeah. I don't know about the church thing. But I know in that there were no plants. Okay. And it's so I can't speak for every hypnotist, but I don't think so. I think actually these people are really easily suggestible because they know when they send them back to the audience. Yeah. And there's something that I do, and so I talk people through their fingers. It's called ideomotor. I've forgotten. Anyway, I talk to people through. I know I've got so much going on in my head. Ideomotor response, IMR. Okay, I knew it was there somewhere. And in hypnosis, so they're nice and relaxed, and then I say to them that I will ask them to say yes with their right finger and no for their no finger. And I do this a lot for pain, okay? So and for sleep, for how many hours sleep their unconscious mind will let them sleep, for a pain level that is comfortable for them. So I will then say count down from 10 down to 0, and a comfortable level might be, will end up being 5. And I'll ask them to lift their finger when I count down to a comfortable level. But yes and no's, I will speak to children about whether it be bedwetting, thumb sucking, but it's quite a useful way. So in that's kind of a little bit, if you like, suggestible, and I always test it at the beginning. So I say something like, is it yes and no? Are you wearing a pink woolly hat? Okay, and deadpan face. There's no laughter there. Are you, are you cuddling Mickey Mouse? No. Do you know what I mean? There's no laughter. It's like they're just so that they're there with it. You've tapped off the critical side. They are suggestible and they are responding. So yeah, but it's very exciting. I have never tried to do anything silly with anybody.
Let's do it right now.
Maybe I ought to try.
I want to try with me.
I do, however, do an arm raise. The thing that I do is I've never made anybody quite like, and actually maybe I ought to try it out, because I bet I could.
It'd be a blast. In fact,
it's unethical, but I bet I could.
But let me give you a list of animals I'd like to be, and then we'll give it a shot. How about that?
I'm trying to think of Tish as an animal. That could be interesting.
Monkey, maybe?
A monkey, definitely a monkey.
I was thinking more of you as like a tiger or something like that. So I was thinking more like animals got a little bit of fierceness to it. You actually brought up an interesting point, though, and everything, which is that the women were wanting to actually see the man in, and the rest of the audience in this new perception of what the audience.
Where are you going with this, Mark?
Well, no, I'm going to go in a very safe place. I was just wondering if part of that isn't because of the way society is, because society tries to think of you ladies as being like very much they tries to present a certain image of women and everything. So I wonder if it's an opportunity for them to be a little freer than society would like them to be, is the reason they might be more susceptible to doing that.
Okay, so you think that they took off their masks, so to speak, right, and they were their true self,
and they could be inhibition mask.
Yeah, and they could be as naughty as they liked.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
A bit naughty.
Yeah, naughty.
So Mark, but let me go back to just a minute, and we don't need to stay on this at all, because maybe an entire generation of folks need to be hypnotized or blasted, but that I just gotta say, it really bothers me when the two genders, like, it's okay for men to want to see people naked, but the women are naughty if they want to see people naked. You know what I mean? It's like, it's time for that to go. It's time for that whole thing to go. And women, we shouldn't be held to different standards. I'll go ahead and say it, held to different sexual or moral standards than men should. That it's time for that to stop. So I've said my piece. Thank you much.
You're right. It's a whole different conversation.
That's why I kind of brought it up, but that could be a whole separate conversation on the Planet Seed shows and everything. But no.
But I'm the host, and I had to say my piece because that's for women, because it's time for us to just be, not judged by different lenses.
Show off our inhibitions and be,
We don't all need to be hoes or anything like that, but
no.
But enjoying a good Aquaman once in a while is not a bad thing. But all that being said, so now we have a clear idea of what hypnosis is, that it's really tapping into that part of your brain that you don't.
Imagination, tapping off the disbelief, okay, and tapping into the imagination. And that is where I can actually reframe a lot of things that for people, because when they are in that state, then I could again, so if I say might do inner child work, and again, it's a lot of, and I get a lot of people to do the work themselves. I don't do a lot of it.
Well, you have to do it yourself ultimately, don't you, Claudia?
Well, there's some things that I've written, and I mean, I know them so well, I don't even, I wrote, when I first started, I used to write myself scripts, and then I just sort of like, I just know them so well that they just sort of come out of my mouth. That one that I take people into the future and they see the future
that's
them,
beautiful. Yeah.
And then the future them tells them how they did it, and it's not, it's not the me. I don't say anything. It's them that is doing it, and because wonderful, you have all the answers inside of you. I literally just know how to get it out of you. I just facilitate. That's all I do. I facilitate, and that's why it's just wonderful, because the person is doing the work themselves, and then that's just like so empowering, isn't it?
100%. I mean, like I said, it was just like you brought walls down. That I didn't realize I'd constructed. You brought the walls down, and then so Mark, I went to Claudia for something, and I've got to tell you, I'm going to go back, but it was like that weekend, because my brain is sometimes pretty obsessed. It locks onto things, right? And that weekend, it was just like, phew, it was just like I felt like things were falling, and I'd try to think about, what the issue was, and my brain would go into it, but it would never hit that deep, dark. Some of us that have felt traumas, there's this deep, dark hole, empty, void thing inside of us. And that hurts every time we touch it, and so we try not to touch it. But it was I'm not saying it's total, but it was like, whoa, I'm not feeling that again. So then my logical brain could cut in to say, okay, well then, how do you need to handle this as an adult? What would an adult do here? Because she also doesn't tell you what to do. So you got to figure that out yourself.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, my God.
Claudia, that actually brings up an interesting question, because I was wondering, sometimes people use hypnosis because of addictive personalities, like whether that's cigarettes, whether that's alcohol, whether that's whatever. But I know that usually when people go through those kind of programs, and I'm not saying all the time, they just might switch one addiction for another addiction. Right. So as a hypnotist, how do you get them to maybe focus on whatever that addiction is, but not fall back into the habit of going into another kind of addiction? So I do know that.
So it's easy. So yeah, it is. And if it's easier though to break a new addiction than it is an old addiction. So it's okay. And don't forget, there are many other different types of addictions, right. And those are that aren't as self-harming to the person. Okay, so they can create a new habit. So whether it be going to the gym or creating a healthier one. Now, what I do, Mark, is I actually get to the root of the issue. I do this diagram. You remember the diagram I draw?
That's amazing. Yeah.
And I've actually just got it here on a picture.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Oh wow, check that out. You did it.
So that's a picture. There you go. So it's of it. And I'm not going to hold, that is, okay, so I draw that and I go through the stages of it. And do you want me to have it again here?
Well, it's if you can just move it next to your seat, maybe.
Yeah,
You found that.
There we go. Perfect. Yep.
Okay, so we start here. That's the conscious mind that I said before that we tap off. This is your unconscious mind. This is all the habits, dreams, memories. Now, we're all also 100% emotional brain. All those necklaces around your neck, Tish, they all have an emotional attachment to them.
Yes, and I love them. But they do. They do.
Story, okay? And now this bit is our anxiety box. This is the bit of anxiety that we need in life. Can you see it properly? It goes back to caveman days. Okay, one thing's going to fall off. This one is normal anxiety. So it goes back to caveman days. And that is the fight, flight, freeze, faint. We need that. We need it. Because otherwise you'd go be playing with copperheads. Yeah, you'd be playing with, you would be. You'd be walking out in the road. You know, it was like, oh, that's fine. Yeah, so no, we all have to have anxiety, a certain amount of anxiety. It's fine. And so often, sometimes, as soon as I tell people it's okay to have some anxiety, they go, oh, you know, because they think they're not allowed.
Right.
And then again, Mark, I know because I've got so much to say. A lot of the time, I reframe a lot of anxiety to excitement. When did we start telling our children that they were anxious when they were going to a party? Why was it never called excited? Because I was always told I had the excited tummy.
No, I mean,
great point.
Very good point. And I think that's where we sometimes get into a problem. And I think that Tish has even brought this up on past shows. But this is where we get into a problem, even in the ways that we label our kids.
Yes.
We call anxiety and want to give them certain kinds of medication. I would consider that just a kid being a kid. Like I said, kids like to run, kids like to be involved, kids like to be what some people might label hyperactive. But
they have a lot of energy.
They have a lot of energy.
And it's got to be okay.
Yes.
It's okay.
Yes.
Start telling you it's okay to be a little bit, apprehensive about something. It's just excitement. It's just little butterflies. It'll go as soon as you walk in through the door and you see someone you know. It'll go. And it always does. It always does. So anyway, now then, what happens? Okay, life happens. And then we have these big things, and these are called our exiles in pain. And these, for some people, are horrendous. Rape, abuse.
Yes.
There's houses burning down, car crashes. Yes. There's bullying. There's parents divorcing. There's parents dying. There's our babies dying. There's just stuff happens. There's being beaten up, robbed, burgled. Stuff. That's called life. Okay. And these things can really hurt, and those are the things that can trigger us. Okay. Now these are called exiles in pain. This is past pain that's in pain. Now, sometimes they can ping off each other like the ping ball machine, beep, beep, when it goes, and they bash against this bit. At that point, our emotional brain kicks in and it produces these, and you can see I've done these things, okay, which, and then, so those are our outlets. Those are our sub-protectors. And these, what these are, these can be the addictions, Mark, that you were saying about, okay? Alcohol, smoking, sugar, gambling, drugs, sex, gym, shopping, work, okay? There's OCD, depression, social anxiety, self-harming. Of course, what is all this? All these addictions? A lot of it's self-harming.
Yes.
Even the gym going too much. If it's not a balanced way, it can be too much. Then there's phobias, okay? So there's anger, hair pulling, which is trichotillomania, nail biting, inner critical voice. Okay, I mean, I could go on. People can tell me there's loads and loads of things that people have. My job, Mark. Okay, this is what I say to people, because I'll either sit opposite them and draw this, or sit next to them. It's their choice, or I'll redraw it on here for them and they can copy it. But people, while I'm talking about this, they start talking to me. They start going, oh yeah, that they start opening up. Okay, but I don't need the whole story. They just go, that happened to me. That happened to me. So you see, I know, and then my job is to get rid of these with the blast technique. Okay, and I'll explain a little bit more about that in a minute. I get rid of those, okay, and these shrink by default. Wow. So the addictions start to shrink by default. I don't necessarily go straight to these, because that's the same as me giving them a pill or whatever. Yeah, that's a sticky plaster, and it might last. They might stop smoking for a little bit. They might do this for a little bit, but no, they'll carry on unless they get to those. Yeah. Does that make sense?
No, that makes a lot of sense. And I'm gonna let Tish get back to the course of the interview and everything, but I did want to let her know that Coach Kumar, who is one of our fellow IBM.TV people, we consider her the spiritual coach, and she does one of the shows on Sunday, but she actually had a comment, and I believe she's in India, but she was just saying that inner child work is amazing, and she was also letting us know that so is
future pacing.
Future pacing. Right.
Taking people into the future.
She was making those comments. I did have one other quick question, and then I'm going to turn it back over to Tish, and then I'm going to bring up one comment as well. But my quick question to you, Claudia, is I also know that sometimes is used for what they call past life experiences. So I don't know whether you believe in that or whether you think that is even.
I'm seeing somebody. Yes. So when I do a past life experience, I use it for therapy. Okay. So that I take I take people to a library. Okay. Again, they get what comes out of my voice. We can take them to a nice library, and there's a whole bookcase of books about them, past lives of theirs, and they browse round. They might get them out, and I want them to choose a book that will give them some learning from that life into this life. You know what? Is it true? I don't know. However, wow, the stories I've heard, because I then get them to open the book, and they have to turn the pages, because of course the first page of any book is blank. I had this once when I very first started, and I was like, oh no, and I said, turn the page, because then of course we all know that the first page of any book is blank. So I'm like, I can't say anything. So I was like, turn the page, and then it's like, and then we start, and they can see from their feet down, and what do you know, how old you are, and we get that, and then they start talking to me, and some of them sadly been like, they've just been in a house and cooking and just doing that. I have had some other ones that were absolutely incredible. Had one, he was an explorer, and oh my goodness, it was fascinating. And then at the end of his life, because I was like trying to get the learning, but he was going, I'm wearing stout boots, and he spoke. So he was literally him. It was absolutely incredible. He was telling me what he was wearing, but it was like, and I was saying, and what was the learning? He was going, it's all in front of you. And I thought, oh gosh, are they going to be pleased with that? So I was like going, and can you tell me a little bit more about what he was going? I told you, it's all in front of you. Wow. I was like, okay. And then anyway, and then of course, again, I have to ask people how what they believe in spiritually, because he died, and and then, but actually he was all arthritic, because I could see his body language was going like this. And when I woke him up, he went, oh, I'm really stiff. I said, and back down. And so I said, and so I always say each and every part of you anyway, but I said any aches and pains, any whatever. And I had to really go into it. And he was like, don't. And he went, oh, that's better. Amazing, isn't it? But I had someone who was Rome. I had somebody who was 1300 in Scotland. And that was pretty brutal. And I've had some women be men, and I've had some people who, in fact, I had one somebody, they came to see me. We did a past life, and they they died quite young. And the learning was just look after your body, look after yourself. And do you know what? Do you know how much weight he dropped? 7 stone.
What does that mean, 7 stone?
Oh, sorry. That is a stone. That's English. A stone is equal to 14 pounds. So 14 times 7. So whoever's good at maths can do that.
98 pounds?
Yeah.
So anyway, he dropped off a lot. It's a lot.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, I know. And that was from that, because it just like had such a wow.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to do that. So yeah, you know, so past lives can be really quite interesting. But it's great. I write it, I describe it, I write it all down, and then I give it to the person. I won't record that one because I don't want them to do a past life on themselves. So there's some I don't record. I wouldn't do that, because in case there are some things sometimes, because there's some contraindications to hypnosis. If somebody has psychosis, suffers from epilepsy, has schizophrenia, I won't do it. Okay, and that's why they have to be careful in the shows. They have to say if anybody has any other outlying medical conditions, you know, you can't come up. Sometimes that's what I was going to say. Sometimes people have it's called an ab reaction, and that is when they just start crying. Of course, I can start people. Well, I can actually get people to do that when I need them to do the blast.
Yes, you can.
But sometimes it's that, and this can happen in age regression. And this actually happened to me when I was in my training as a student, and I had an ab reaction, and I started. She said, any fears about things? And I said, I didn't like driving in the city because of cars. And I said, because I'd had a car crash. You know what she didn't do? She didn't check to see how bad my car crash was. I had this massive ab reaction. Okay, my car burst into flames. I was trapped because my foot was stuck. Oh my gosh! I was back there. I was back in it, and I was going,
that's frightening.
Oh my god! And I was like freaking out. Okay, it was like scream, and it was she and moments before as well. Before I went in, I thought, I'm not hypnotized. This isn't going to work. I'm not going. It's embarrassing because I'm in front of all the class, and then but as it was actually, as soon as I was there. And I was absolutely, I was shaking. I was
that's awful.
I felt so sick. And she was like, and then though, I know now properly how to deal with one. How do you learn best? From having it done to yourself. Okay. And then actually, funny enough, nobody's ever had a real ab reaction like that with me. But what you do is you take the emotion out of it. And it was like, okay, you're safe, calm. You're safe and calm. You are not there. You are not in that now. Take the emotion out of it. And then she moved me on a few years. Okay. So it was like, so then I did. But it's like, you can easily do that. Take the emotion out of it. I felt sick the whole night. I couldn't sleep. I felt really ill. I felt icky. And then the next day, we did age regression back to a funny time. A time when we were laughing, okay? And this was great because again, I went to when I was really naughty. I was at boarding school again. I was quite naughty, and so I was at and I was 13, and I got underneath somebody's bed, all right, and I was reliving this funny thing. So it was back to something funny, and everybody else, we in dormitories. So you get the idea of being at boarding school. So anyway, one of them, it was about 10 o'clock. She'd gone to the loo and she came back. She goes, now, is everybody in their beds? She's checking everybody, and they put pillows down my bed so that but I was under her bed. Anyway, I left it for quite a while, and then suddenly I went, like that, okay? And she leapt. We still tell this story because we are still friends. Actually, it's her birthday today. She leapt out of bed, all right? She got a foot caught in the sheet. I was laughing my head off. And I was absolutely having hysterics. Anyway, she ripped the sheet. I mean, really naughty.
Mm.
So I was laughing my head off as I was telling this.
Yeah.
I even spoke. I could even hear myself speaking as though I was 13.
Oh, wow.
I
Wow.
know.
Wow.
Crazy, isn't
That's
it?
super cool.
And I tell you what, because I was laughing so much, do you know what it did? It cleared that sick feeling. It cleared it. And I was fine after that. So I tell you what, one really easy way, laughter is the best medicine. Laugh, 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 laugh. Honestly,
Yes.
we all need the best thing. If anybody said to me, what is one gift I could give to somebody? Sense of humor.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Laugh.
Yeah.
It is the best medicine. And from that, because then you're smiling, and so you smile a while, and soon there'll be miles and miles of smiles. You have to laugh. And actually, I do install that as an anchor with people, and it is just wonderful. But you've got to, it's a state, because when you are feeling calm, when you are eating, drinking, when you are actually having sex, when you are laughing, just feeling relaxed and whatever, you cannot feel anxiety. It goes back to caveman days, goes back to the limbic system, because they would not have been procreating, they would not have been eating
Or laughing
if there had been a saber-toothed tiger
right
at the door. So yeah, it goes back to those days. You look confused, Mark. I said something.
Yeah, you said something that threw me off slightly there and everything, because you named several things, but one of them you named people sometimes have performance anxiety about. So I was going like, wait a minute, there is anxiety sometimes that exists on one of the things that you listed. So, and that's why the puzzle look was there.
Oh, yes. But generally, okay, and of course, sex if it's not wanted. Again,
that's a different situation.
So that's a different thing. And then but generally, if there's a loving and it's all okay. So, but then you're right. But I'm just talking in general. Okay. So, but you're quite right, because that is another issue. But that's another issue altogether.
But I want to ask you about this, Claudia, though. When somebody's system is kind of upset or has been stressed out for decades, is it possible for them to not have the same reactions as somebody that, that whose adrenal system isn't stretched to the max? Because doesn't that change? Because you said, laughter can really help release and put you in the different frame. But if you're stressed out to start off with, potentially, unless it's a true belly laugh, but if you're so stressed out, it's hard to get a true belly laugh. You know what I mean? It's kind of weird.
To get the breath. Do you know what? It goes back to breathing as well. Again, that's a massive thing. Is that something I always teach everybody, is to proper deep breathe.
Yes.
And they have to practice it, because what they need to start doing is, and it's always in through the nose, okay? Because when you breathe a deep belly breath in, and you sort of like big proper, and you're pushing out your stomach as well. So I teach the 7-11 breathing in for 7, nice and slowly, and out for the count of 11. And what you're doing is you're activating the vagus nerve. Okay, and then that's what we try and do, is build a nice strong vagus nerve, because that is directly linked to the heart, the lungs, and the digestive tract. Okay, as you said, so that everything's nice and calm. So absolutely as well. So a strong vagus nerve, which can and you can build that up.
Yes,
can build that up. So through deep breathing in through the nose. Does that answer that question?
Well, wonderful. So so what else do you use? Hypnosis, you use meditation, you use the thing that at first we couldn't remember what it stood for. I mean, you just kind of
the IMR.
Yes,
the emotional response. So the blast technique, the way this works, okay, so when people have a significant emotional event, when people have a trauma, PTSD, it's residing in the right hemisphere of the brain. I'm not going to go into all the different parts of the brain on here. I could do, but let's just keep it simple, the right side. And what I do is take that with my light pen, because you can follow it with your eyes, and I do certain movements, okay? And you follow it with your eyes, and then I make super suggestions. I make specific suggestions, and again, what we're doing is we're taking that issue from the right into the left, backwards and forwards, and that then reprograms it and it puts it in the right place in your brain. Okay, and it works.
Yes, it does.
It works. Okay, and it's so efficient and so effective. And yes, it's very similar to eye movement desensitizing and reprocessing. And I have also learned integral eye movement therapy, which is IEMT. I made sure I did them all, and then Blast is my favorite. Okay, because it just is. But saying that, I will still use bits from IEMT when I'm talking to people, because there are some wonderful things that I learned on that as well. And so, yeah, it's.
Can you explain the muscle memory thing? Like, I've even used it myself with folks, but I'm not even sure how that really works. You know, when you test to see where somebody's at, when you lift their hand, can you explain what's going on when you do that?
Right. So I ask you to go through the memory in your head again. Where you were right at the beginning, you know, when you were still rigid and you could feel it in your body. And I said, where is it? You could say, I could feel it in my shoulders, could feel it in the head, or wherever you were feeling it. And again, for a lot of people, it's stomach, chest, they feel whatever. And then I get you, so I test my work. Okay, I get you, I test it, and you are then thinking about it, and then I go, right, think about it, and then I pick up your, and if it's really floppy, well, it's gone, because if it was still there, it would
rigid.
Rigid. And with the people, my people who are still in their sort of protective armor, and they're, because hey, I can't help everybody, all right? I can't. It's that they've still got their armor on, and they do not want to be vulnerable. They're not ready, and it's hard. I can do my best. So basically, it's like so I scale the trauma from 0 to 10, 10 being the worst you can feel it, 0 nothing, and say the trauma is really awful, and that is your 10s, 9s, 8s, so that it's like whatever you talk about, it is right there. So those are like rocks, okay? Yep. And then what I do, I start to break them down into stones. Yeah, so that will be your 6, 5, 4, and then I break that down into sand. And when you come back from the beach, you've always got sand. It's always in between your toes. Okay, there's always sand. However, sometimes, yes, I can get it down to 0, but generally there'll always be a slight thing. I can't take away what happened.
Right.
It happened. But I can take it so that when you talk about it, there's no emotion attached to it. It's just something that happened. Right. Okay. But I'm, you know, I can't take that actual thing away. All right. But when you talk about it, the response isn't there anymore. You're not being triggered. It's like, it's just something that happened.
And your behavior, you're not making decisions based around whatever kind of issue that was. So you can really move forward in your life. You know, it's not just the emotion, at least for me, it was that, okay, well, now that's removed. Now what do I do? And, you know, something else we talked about too is when people hold on to things for so long, sometimes it becomes their identity. Like, you know, and they don't want to let go. They might want a little bit to let go, but they're not going to let go of that whole thing, because what is their story going to be then?
And some people love to be victim. They like to be victim. Yes. And that's very, very difficult. So again, I do a victim mentality check. I just had to do this with somebody because it's because they've just had it all their lives, as you've said, and that's how they identify themselves. And so I take them into 5 years time. What was actually, first of all, years time, still being like this. 5 years, 15 years, 20 years, and what's it like? And it's like, it's rubbish. So, you know, and are you ready to let it go? Yeah. And it's like, because otherwise, you know, if you do what you've always done, you will get what you've always got.
exactly right.
Makes a lot of sense. Tish and Claudia, do you ever worry sometimes about somebody finding the information and then like lose it, like it doing more damage than harm? Because sometimes there are people that might have gone through something in life, something traumatic, and they've managed to bury that in their subconscious. And when they bury it, it's not, as far as we know, in some cases, it may not be harming them, but maybe it is harming them. But I was just wondering, as a hypnotist, do you ever worry about that you might get them to bring out something that they have already suppressed way deep into their memory, and it's like so far gone that they don't even realize that it's there? Because I know that in some cases we want that out there, but then I wonder, do you ever worry about it?
Do you know what? This has happened to me a few times. People have said to me, can you hypnotize me back so that I can remember something? And I've said no.
Right.
I've said no, I'm not. I said that is that's not what I'm going to, because it's for me that's not ethical for me to do that. I won't, because I would just be re-traumatizing them. Although now, and I know I could probably deal with it because of that, but I think there's a reason why it's been suppressed. If it then comes out in a dream or it comes out whatever, then they can get in touch with me. If their lives are fine and there's their behaviours, it's not affecting their behaviour in any way, then there's no need to. That's how their brain decided to do it. It decided to have amnesia around that episode.
Right.
And you know what? That's okay. That's okay with me. So I personally wouldn't. This happened to me actually in England. Somebody came to me. She said, "Will you do this? Take me back because I think I was abused, and but I don't know for sure. And I know that other family members were." And I said no. And I said, and I don't suggest that you do, because it will just your wonderful unconscious mind has protected you for a reason. And if it's not affecting any other areas of your life, just other than you're just thinking about it, then I don't suggest you do. You know what? You went to somebody else. They did it on her. She rang me. She goes, I can't. I'm in a terrible state. And I went, you know, it was like, and at that point, as I say, it was early on in my and I hadn't done the blast yet. Actually, I probably could have helped her then, but I didn't know the blast then.
Gotcha. Yeah, because that just had me wondering, because I do know that sometimes, I guess, like, I'm thinking like sometimes the police officers that are doing past investigations and other folks, and they will try to bring in somebody as a hypnotist to try to get them out of that situations. And like you said, sometimes it might have been something that happened 10 or 15 years ago or whatever. And I, just as a concerned citizens, I worry about what kind of impact that could have on them later in life if they had already suppressed it to some degree. So
yeah, and actually, do you know, that doesn't stand up in a court of law anyway, if it's come up from a memory. Do you know why? Because they say that the hypnotist could implant it, so it doesn't come up. It wouldn't be, as far as I know, it's not submissible in a court of law. A memory. I think that's just, might be things that you might see on TV shows.
Gotcha. Yeah.
I really don't think in real life that they would allow that, because we can also make up memories.
Mm-hmm.
And that is true as well, because when you're a child, you can really, the way you perceive things is very different to you might do as an adult, which is why a lot of the time our self-esteem that was built when we were children, say you knocked over some milk. Okay, we all know how milk stinks, don't we? Yep. On the carpet, on the whatever, and it's like, and then your mum or your dad might go, why did you did that? And they're not angry with you, but they might say something that makes you, and then you, as the child, perceives you're bad. No, yeah. It's just that they didn't want to clean the milk up, because milk stinks, and now they've got to spend sort of half an hour scrubbing the floor, and they didn't want to do that. So it was, but with the child goes away with they're wrong, they're bad, they've done everything wrong, and that is what can be brought in to their adult life, and that is how I can start to change things and say, because parents make mistakes, and they did the best they could with what they knew at the time.
Yeah.
In hindsight, if they'd known that that was going to happen, that you were going to feel bad, they wouldn't have said that. They wouldn't have behaved like that. And same with so many other things that our parents might have done. Tish isn't doing very well here.
No, I'm not.
Tish is having a moment here. She's trying to get stuff together. With
you keep coming and going.
She's getting it together.
I love you.
So, but yes, she's having a moment. So I did have an idea for you though, Claudia, while Tish is getting the camera together. Trying to cooperate with her, but while she's trying to do that, I'm thinking, and I think you may have alluded to this earlier about the kind of folks that you don't want to treat in everything, but we've got like this thing coming up in about a few months called an election. Do you think you could go ahead and hypnotize that person in DC? More normal, but then I'm afraid that he falls into those categories that you talked about, where he probably can't be dealt with because
narcissists. I can't honestly. I have had a couple of narcissists, and wow. And it was because they came because I was saying, say, their child, and they wanted to check me out first. And it was like they wanted to control it. Okay.
Yep.
Yep. And it was anyway. And I just thought, now I know why your child has an issue. Because of your massive expectations of them. So yeah. And sometimes when I see parents, I always tell a parent that they are their child's best therapist, okay? Because some parents really need to hear that. Now, however, sometimes I have seen them and they've been going on about, oh, their child isn't eating this and they're not doing that. And I said, well, what are they eating? And they've told me, and I've gone, and what's the issue? Who's got the issue here? And they don't like me very much because actually I say, I've got to, I think it's your expectations. I think, if your child doesn't want to eat food that's got funny little bits of green in it, then why would you? But they're eating so many other stuff. Then why what's the problem? Just don't give them the stuff with the little green bits in, and it's just like, oh, they go, oh, so.
Yeah, I think my brother might have needed you when he was younger, because I remember he was a thumb sucker, and I remember my parents did the whole cayenne pepper thing, so he does not do that now as an adult. But I'm thinking that hypnotist might have been a better solution than cayenne pepper, because cayenne pepper definitely burns the mouth and everything else. So like I said, he's just turned 50. Well, he'll turn 51 in October, so definitely he's in that 50 range right now. So this was decades ago, but definitely probably should have gone to a hypnotist back then.
Yeah, absolutely. Get their superhero in the hypnosis to go, you don't need to do that anymore. I used to suck my thumb and I didn't, and I stopped when I was this age, and you don't need to do it anymore. And you can join my club and be with me. And they're like, then, oh yeah, I'm going to grow up now and be a big boy. And I'm not going to suck my thumb anymore because my superhero says I'm in his club. Easy.
But the beauty of what you do, Claudia, though, is that you actually are able, it's not like it's just a typical therapist where you say that, right? This is what you tell your child, but you're able with the hypnosis to actually change the wire. You know what I mean? So it's not just talk.
Well, that's with the blast. With the hypnosis, I do. I can embed with the sound of my voice. And it's and again, with kids I play actually a lot of the time. I get on the floor and we will play with colorings. And if I get a lot of children who are sometimes perfectionists, so what I do, we do drawings and I make mistakes. So I get it out of the line, and I go, oh, does that matter? And they go, no, it's fine. And then I do it again, and it's like, and it's okay. So it's like that being imperfectly perfect.
Yeah.
And there was one little girl. Oh gosh, I think I must have played Barbies for about 2 hours. I've never played Barbies so much in my adult life. I'm a child doing this. But anyway, we were taking the clothes on and off and putting them to bed. And it was all about the noises. This little girl was 5. She was being my youngest person. And we were dressing them, putting them to bed. And she didn't like noises, like in old houses in England, there's lots of radiators, you know, they make banging noises and things like that. And it was like, and then there'd be the sound of the wind and things like that. So that was what we told the Barbies. And then I was telling them, but she started telling them. And because children go into hypnosis with their eyes open, playing, that was what she started doing. And then there was also an issue at school with the little girl that wasn't very nice. And we're going, it's okay, you just don't need to play. And she was telling the Barbies with me, we would tell it, so she was copying.
Oh, that's awesome.
Saying, and then, so we did that and she was fine. She slept after that.
That's amazing. So it's actually fun for the kids then.
Oh, yeah. Or I tell them again a little story. I'm just going to tell you a little story, and we make it all about fairies and things. And I've still got a fairy outfit that was my daughter's. It was Tinkerbell one, and I get them to put that on. And
Cute.
you know, they're dressed as a, you know, again depending on the child. If they might be a tomboy, so they're not going to want to wear wear that, are they? But I've got Lego, I've got this, and then some of the times and I've got to get some more lining paper before you put on the walls. So, and I'm with the parents. The parent can be here with me, obviously, especially if they're very young. That's why I've got a sofa, so they both can sit on it, or because the child's on the floor anyway. But they will help me draw around the body of their child on this lining paper, okay? And then I'll colours it in, and then I can see if they've got a smiley face.
Oh.
And then I say, where do you feel this when somebody's been, where is it in your body? And then they'll colour that, you know, so it's just, so it's through play.
Because that's how that's what they know.
Yeah. And then with other older kids, we might do, so like, who were been watching Harry Potter, I can do we could put spells and things like that, and we put in all these lotions and we're going to add in confidence, add in this,
awesome.
add in bit, you know, believing in myself, add in that, you know, and it's just like, or Hermione, this girl really admires Hermione, so it's who their heroes are.
Nice.
And I have no idea until they come, and so they get whatever comes out my mouth. So I don't know, you know, I just make it up with them. I write a thing with them.
Right. Depending on what they need.
I listen to them and what they want, and that's what I do. It's so
you can help all ages.
Yeah, I have done. Yeah, absolutely. And you can use blaster on children. Yeah.
The beautiful thing is if you can help when they're young, so that they don't have decades long of jumps that they have to get.
Well, I know, but do you know what, Tish? Life is like that,
isn't it?
And you know what? And it has to be. If you look at the heart monitors, they go beep, 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 beep. Okay. If you do that, then you're flatlining. So it has to be up down. More stuff's going to happen to them. However, if I'm able to give people some tools,
yes,
and and when they're very young, I'm not necessarily going to be able to do that. But when they're sort of like, say, late teens or early 20s, then they can always go back to the tools and the recordings, and they've always got those. So
fantastic. So
life
you've done
happens.
so. It does happen.
And learning, Tish, you've got to take the learning when you're having a good day. Why are you having a good day? Who did you see? Did you get up early? Did you do your exercises? Did you eat well? Did you not drink too much the night before? Why are you having a bad day? Is it because you drank too much? You slept? You didn't do all the things you wanted to do? You had an argument with somebody? You were a bit, you know, sort of mean to somebody? Why are you having a bad day? Or you didn't, learn from the good, and learn from the bad. Take the learning all the time. There's never a fail.
Right.
There's only ever learning all the time. And I give myself that permission all the time. Every single time when I mess up, I go, it's fine. Let's take the learning.
Sometimes it's almost good because you learn more. You have the opportunity to learn more at that point and then figure out where you're going to go from there, versus not ever having that opportunity to learn. So sometimes they're actually blessings in disguise, the mistakes that we make.
They are. It happened for a reason. I take that as well. I was obviously meant to learn that today. That's okay.
Wasn't on my agenda, but here we go.
I'm on my fifth teenager. I'm still learning. I'm a work in progress.
That was one of the very first parenting classes I went to. They said, one of the great things about parenting is you're going to get another, for most of us in those situations, you're going to get an opportunity to really hone these skills. And it's tough sometimes because there's so much, especially when they're smart.
Yeah. Game.
Yeah.
Or you could just do like my dad did. My dad, I remember he told, I don't have any kids, but my younger brother has got my two nephews, so his two kids. And I remember that when my brother was late teens, early 20s, my dad basically just told him that enjoy it while he could, because he was going to get revenge on him by training his kids to give him as hard a time as Malik, my younger brother.
Yeah.
So whenever the boys act up, Malik will bring that story up and basically be like, yep, Dad warned me that this was what he was going to do. He was going to train y'all about to be as much of a nuisance to me as I was to him. So,
but I don't know, it's interesting that he was trained, but I think kids, naturally it's weird, and maybe Claudia, there's, some kind of science behind this, but it's so amazing how I feel like our kids are some of the biggest teachers that we have. And like your brother, he's, my father trained, or was that just what he, the gift that he was given to help his own development as well as his son's development, right? It's that challenge that seems to make things, to kind of change your perspective and shake things up a little bit. So sometimes I feel like the children that come into our lives, they're, we're both meant to learn from each other,
There's definitely, I mean, a lot of people believe that, don't they? That, we're in this life, we're meant to have these lessons from certain things for our next life or whatever. So, yeah. And it's, but all I can say is just keep taking the learning, no matter what, and enjoy it. I mean, it's life doesn't need to be so heavy, but so often we can think it does. And as soon as we give ourselves permission to enjoy it, it's like,
They were putting on those glasses at the hypnotist show. Just kidding. Yeah. Not really, but maybe. I don't know. So we're talking about, what's next for you, Claudia? You've done all of this education. You have all of these tools in your tool belt. Where are you headed next? What you doing?
Do you know what? I know. I'm so excited. I am actually halfway through a diploma and in neurocognitive disorders. Okay. It is this. There is scientific proof. It has empirical evidence. It is that hypnosis can help with neurocognitive disorders. We're talking Alzheimer's, dementia.
Wow.
It is absolutely fabulous. So I'm being taught by Dr. Daniel Nightingale. He works with the Barrow Institute in Arizona. I am actually, when I finish, I am going to fly over and stay for a couple of weeks there, and he's going to mentor me. I'm going to shadow him, and yeah, it's very exciting. Now, so we can't. First and second stages of when people first find out they have a neurocognitive disorder. Okay. We can help them get to rementia, which is so that actually, we can help them through diet, exercise, and certain other neurocognitive, other cognitive exercises.
Which Tai Chi is both of those, right?
Absolutely. I tell you what, brilliant. And use a lot of music therapy. We help with the family, so we do an agreed shared action plan with the whole family, so everybody's on board with it. We check out the environment, we check out just all sorts of things so that we can actually reduce the anxiety, because it is the anxiety levels that can create so much other more tension, but actually that they start to get depression. and they don't want to go out, and they don't want to be included in anything.
Right.
It's about, we see the person first. We remember what they do like, and obviously in first and second stages they're still cohesive with us, they're still talking and able to join in very much with them. But we teach them self-hypnosis, we teach the family self-hypnosis, and there's memory games. People can still make connections, and with music it activates a different bit of the brain. And actually music, if somebody right now, if they're wanting to get in touch, to be able to speak to somebody in their family, and they're not able to sing them. Sing. Doesn't matter how bad you are or good you are at singing, sing to them.
So the music just puts them in a different place.
Yes. And get music that they remembered. And if anybody is hallucinating, because there's Louis' body dementia as well. Louis' body, they have hallucinations, and or anybody actually with any hallucinations, go with it. Go with the hallucination. Okay. Just go, okay, there's a little green man there. Okay, that's nice. And can I get you a drink now? Would you like some water? Or what should we watch on TV now? But be in their reality. But you know there isn't. That will cause
more
upset.
Anxiety.
It will cause more anxiety. So go with it. And it's about helping the whole family, and again with and carers. And I'm hoping to be able to go and consult with other care homes and things like that. Again, animals, absolutely brilliant. And it's and sometimes you see, sadly, people put people on medication because they say they're being difficult. You know what? They might be being difficult, but it's because nobody's in their reality. They've lost their purpose. We need to give them back their purpose. What did they used to be good at? What do they like? How can we encourage them? Be in there and keep the person in the forefront of everything. And it is, I'm loving it. I'm learning so much. And the fact that I'll be able to help this range of people. And do you know what? Anybody can get Alzheimer's. Anybody can get neurocognitive disorder at any age, any time. And children have it.
Wow.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And it's so. This is really it's.
Well, it's tremendous, and it's at the point that I wonder, because I remember when I was in my 20s, I don't remember so many people with dementia or Alzheimer's. I don't remember it being such a big situation. And there's a point that I wonder how much, and again, that's a whole other show, but I wonder how much of our lifestyle, our diet, all of this stuff can.
And sleep.
Yeah. Oh gosh, that's a huge one.
People think people think we don't need. No, you need 8 or 9 hours a night. People think, oh, I'm going to get more. I'm going to work more, and I'm going to get more money, and I'm going to do this. Actually, no. You need your sleep. You need it. It is so important.
Not just the sleep. I know that we had a show here on IBM.TV, and I don't remember which one it was, but one of the people was talking about the fact that. And I'm guilty of not doing this. I'll admit that I'm guilty of not doing this, but that we need the sliding downtime. So like some downtime before you even go to sleep. So like they described it as like try to have an hour or two of peace where you're not necessarily engaged in like work or schoolwork or things of that nature, but it's that sliding downtime. And I think they were even arguing don't necessarily even turn on the TV because sometimes have been plots and things of that nature. So they were suggesting that it's just totally a resting period. So and like
absolutely hot bath, with lavender in it, reading a nice book, and then it's like, and then of course my relaxation recording. But, which I know you'd then have to listen, touch your phone for, but it's like it does help. So many people, because they're bad sleepers, but they just listen to me and they fall asleep to the sound of my voice, which is fabulous. Yeah, and I wake them up at the end of it, but they just sleep through it. They go back to sleep. They know that it's there. I don't talk like this when I'm doing my relaxation hypnotherapy. It's very drony. It's my voice is deeper and it's very relaxing, and and it's just it's as I say, I think my husband loves it because he just gets to go to sleep.
Your husband, but I've been here now for about an hour because I had to, like I said, deal with Zach's show and everything. But I was enjoying the British accent and the natural sound of your voice. So I just thought this was your natural hypnotic voice. Now you're telling me that you have another
There's
voice.
another one.
I do. Yeah. If you send me your email, I'll send you the relaxation recording.
I will put that in the chat area, and definitely share that with you. I mean, it's public knowledge to everybody. I can actually just tell you because it's easy to remember. It's bluesradio@gmail.com. So if you want to pass that to me, I will gladly.
What is it? Mark Lee?
No, it's Mark Lee, MARCLEE, and the email is bluesradio@gmail.com. So
now, Mark, she has a lot of recordings on her YouTube channel.
Okay.
And people need to know that, anybody that'd like to, because she's got so much amazing stuff on there for all kinds of different things.
Well, we could do something really amazing right now because I've got the banner and we can create a ticker. So while we continue the conversation, what is your YouTube website? Because we can actually put that.
I have no idea. But I know I've got I'm the most untechnical. I need a little techie person with me all the time. I need to hypnotize myself to be better at technology. Okay. Well, however, Mark, if you go on my website, there's a little icon there that has the YouTube on it, or the Facebook link, and actually they've got my recordings on. So I use a lot of little metaphors here and there. I think there is a mindfulness one on there somewhere that is 5 minutes. My version of mindfulness, that's 5 minutes long. So yeah,
they're awesome. And again, there's a whole bunch of different things. And it's amazing when you try them. Like the first few times I tried them, it was before I went to talk, went in session with you. And I was just amazed because it really, I mean, they're simple. Some of them are meditation, some of them are physical things that you do, but it really they really work. It's amazing. It's like a whole gift, and it's all free on her YouTube channel. It's crazy.
Yeah, I really started that because of COVID. So, and I've just did another one this morning. I don't know if it went on properly, but it was because I've had an awful lot of people fear of death.
Fear of death.
Yeah. Like wow. Big time. And
well, I wonder if that's because our news channels are saying we're in a pandemic and you may die if you don't wear a mask and wash your hands.
Well, I wonder. Yeah, exactly.
We're getting blasted with that.
So I put on this because there's one tool right now is you have to shout out "I'm alive." Okay, and you have to say it every hour on the hour for a week.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I know. Not when you're asleep though. And so shout out, "I'm alive," and you have to put in, say it with gusto, say it with feeling, and that can help. And actually, I had somebody got a this morning, which is always wow, da 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 da, and it's I won't say exactly what she said because hopefully she'll send me a testimonial at some point. But it's like yeah. So great.
They're amazing.
It's working.
So, real helpful. Well, we're at 2:30, so we might need to.
So sorry, I could talk forever. I told you.
No, I love it. I love, and there's probably so much more that you could
really
say.
Sad.
I mean, we enjoy these kind of conversations. I tell Tish that we can go over because, like I said, we're not that pressed for time and things of that nature. But I do know that everybody want to be respectful of everybody and their time, both you, Claudia, as well as our lovely host Tish and everything. So if y'all are ready to wrap up, you can. But if you got another 10 or 15 minutes of things that you want to talk about, that's also game as well. Because, like I said, there is so much that folks are interested about. I was actually just thinking as y'all were talking about schools, because a lot of folks are going through schools right now, and a lot of those folks are very stressed out by what's happening with the internet and things of that nature. They don't know how to get onto the right platforms. There's a lot of things that they are wondering about that. And I was thinking, as I was watching you and listening to you talk, Claudia, that would probably be like a whole nother market that I don't know if you're dealing with that at all, but that you probably could go into, because so many folks are being stressed out by the Zoom culture and the just the culture of trying to do these things around how to educate themselves, because we are going so virtual. So have you had any dealings with that in terms of like working with students as they're trying to get into this platform? Because I do know that this is becoming something that's stressing out everybody, from the teachers on down to the students to the administrators and all the points in between.
Do you know, Mark, a lot of it is a lot of people say to themselves, it's the what if. What if I don't get on? What if I can't? What if? Okay. And then, of course, that starts with the thought. And then, it starts with a negative thought. Now, we all have thoughts all the time, all of us. We can't stop those thoughts. But if it starts spiraling, well, what if I can't get on? Well, then they'll think that I'm not doing school. And then, or a mother might think, well, then they'll think I'm a bad mother. And then they'll think that I'm this, and then they'll do that. And then they're, oh my God, can you feel the anxiety? You know? Okay. So I say to people, finish your sentence with, what if, and I'll handle it. What if, and I'll figure it out. And because we generally always do. Because I had somebody once when I said that to her, and she goes, yeah, but what if I don't handle it? So I said, okay, where's the evidence that you never handled it? Where's the evidence? And then she said, oh, well, there was this one time. So I said, okay. I said, what was the learning?
Yeah,
I
there
said,
you go.
did you get any learning from that? And she went, oh, yeah, I got loads. So do you know what? With all of these things, what if that happens? Tish, you had an issue right here now. What if? Yeah. What if your thing goes off? I'll handle it. I'll figure it out.
I handled it.
You handled it. Yeah. You figured it out. And I tell you what, it was okay.
Yes.
Do we think any the worst of you? No. It was okay. It was okay. It was okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like hypnotists almost use the same kind of philosophy as improv performers. I don't know if you know anything about improv or that model of comedy, but they have a routine called yes and what if and yes and sound like it's very much the same concept, because that's how they do a lot of their routines, is they create this thing of yes and. So somebody may give them a routine and then it's yes that and what else. So that's how they continue to develop the routine, is yes and. But it's the what if concept that you're talking about is pretty much the same thing.
It is. And you go on.
Yes.
Life goes on. But if we stay in those, or what if this, well, then people procrastinate.
Yeah.
And they stop, and then they don't get any motivate, they lose the motivation. So no, what if, and I'll handle it. And that really does, but it started with a thought. That first thought, what if, but you need to finish it, I'll handle it. So you can YouTube it. If this is an issue, I'll YouTube it. The teachers have all given their numbers out. You can phone the school. You can find out. You have a friend who you'll know somebody who does know how.
Yep.
That's how you figure it out.
Yep.
And because we just generally do. And I tell you what as well, if your kids never actually do that great in whatever, we have this expectation that they should be doing, we can, again, I tell you what, they figure it out. They find their own way. They do. They just always do. And it's their journey.
Right.
It's not ours, it's theirs. Yes, we need to guide them and give the best, platform that we can. And yes, we need to sort of monitor and make sure that they don't do daft things. However, sometimes they will always still do daft things.
Yeah, folks are going to do dumb things, and sometimes you're right, even about, like, I was also thinking about what you were talking about with the dementia and that work that you're doing. That's going to be some very interesting work, because I actually had a great aunt that before she passed, that's what she had. She had dementia. And that's actually what my mom did, what you said. Like I said, they went into that atmosphere. If she was talking about some ancestor that had passed on and was having that conversation, they acted as if that conversation was going on along with her. They did not try to pull her necessarily out of it. They were if she was talking to her mom, who had been long gone, they'd be like, just engaging within that conversation as if that was the norm and that conversation was happening.
Perfect. Because why would you want? Because if they go, it's to say they've lost their partner, and then they're, you know, and they're like going, well, is he coming soon? Is he coming? Just go, yeah, probably. Be with it.
Yeah.
Because if you tell them they're dead, then they're going to go through grief again. And then 5 minutes later, they may say again, where is he coming now? And then you tell them again, he's dead. They're going to be in grief again. Can you imagine how awful that is? And do you think that's going to do anything for their sense of happiness and well-being? No. So just keep going, yeah, probably. They're just at the shops, or they're just doing whatever, something that they maybe used to do a lot. And so they can just go, yeah. So they have peace of mind.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's, it's you know, it is interesting. My grandma had dementia. And she was, I used to sit with her when I was back from boarding school. I used to sit. She taught me how to knit, and we used to knit loads of little squares for a dog blanket that I never got. A dog that I never got. I really wanted this dog, but anyway, so it had a blanket. So we used to do all these spare bits of wool, and then do you know what? I seem to, and this is, I only got this year. Was that I said, why? I remember saying, Grandma doesn't knit anymore. And my mum said, no, I stopped knitting because she knitted a jumper with 4 arms. I know. So, and do you know what I only got to this year though? She knitted my dog a jumper.
That's exactly what she did.
I know, but she'd forgotten to tell anybody. And then my mum wouldn't let her knit anymore. And then she got difficult because that was what she'd always done, knit. It was her thing. And then she went into, honestly, I cried, as you can imagine. Yeah. So when I eventually, maybe one day, have my own centre, my grandma was called Gladys, and the vicar always used to call her Gladioli. I'm going to call it the Gladioli Centre.
Oh, that's beautiful.
That's wonderful. That's a great idea. Even though I was thinking to myself that Claudia still has this thing where she wants a dog. So Claudia's husband, if you're listening,
she's got a beautiful dog. I mean, I was thinking that somewhat, but I was like, no, you've got an incredible dog.
I know, but I didn't have a dog when I was little. I've got a dog now. I've got a and she's getting old now. I got her for my 40th birthday. There you go. I've got a dog. Yeah,
she's awesome too.
She's getting old now.
She's very sweet. But yeah, so we all, even the therapists, even the hypnotists have things that they need to take care of, right?
Oh gosh, yeah. Oh, loads. I've got stacks of stuff. I'm a work in progress. And it's okay. It's okay.
It's okay.
Are we all works in progress? Isn't that kind of your message, Claudia, that we're all works in progress to one degree or another? That seems to be the message of what you're trying to put out there, is that we're all works in progress, and we have to do
because
that.
Who's perfect?
Right. Nobody.
There is, and you know, yeah, we're all, and we would need to be. Absolutely. We're all perfectly imperfect.
Yeah, well, the saying that I used to have, and I still tell some of my friends, is that if I ever ran into a perfect person or a truly sane person, I would be worried, because I don't think that those people exist. Because, like I said, I think we all have some level of insanity, some level of imperfection. So, like I said, if I ever run across that person, I'm going to be very scared, because I don't know that they even exist. Like I said, if you want to go by the spiritual aspect, they may exist by something that is long gone in terms of like not being here on this planet. But as far as us here on planet Earth, it doesn't exist.
Not at all. We all take the learning that we have, right, Claudia?
Oh, yeah.
Look at each experience as a learning experience, appreciate it, and move forward.
Absolutely.
That's what we definitely got to do. We got to learn for it and everything. I have a production question to ask Miss Tish and everything, because I got to pull it up real quick because I know that I had to call in one of my backup producers and everything. But
it was good to meet him. I've never seen him face to face, so that was good.
Yeah, got to meet Win, and that's a wonderful thing and everything. So you got to meet Win, who's part of the team along with Ankit. But that being said, I need to remember the title of your lovely song so that I can pull that up as we also find out what other guests you've got and everything. And then I guess the one question I was going to ask Claudia as well is what advice would she give to folks that might even want to go into hypnotism or being a hypnotist? That's the word I was trying to say.
So yeah, there is make sure that it's you do your research on a good course. It's that there are some not such great courses out there. It's helpful if the people who I'm working with to do this neurocognitive disorder, they're actually doing running a course now for hypnotherapists, and it's so yeah, and I don't exactly know when they're launching it, but it will be clinically based. It's and yeah. Oh, and another great thing is that the person who I'm doing my neurocognitive disorder diploma with, they're also providing me with a website. So, and actually they're running another course in September. So if there are any other hypnotherapists out there who want to do this neurocognitive disorder diploma, then it's another one starting in September. After that, the prices are going to actually double. So it's and they only take I think there's only 8, maybe even 7 places left. But the guy, Dr. Daniel Nightingale, he actually lives in Arizona, so he is in America. But and then they are also going to be running another hypnotherapy course, which will be fantastic. Actually, Nick, who created the blast technique, he was asking me if I wanted to teach hypnosis, be a hypnotherapy teacher. I would love to do that.
That would be awesome.
I know I'd be really good at it. He's also, because I'm the ambassador for him over here in America as well for this, he wants me to teach this at some point. There's lots going on, so that might be next year. that might be next year. But yeah, so there's lots of things that they do, and yeah, it's all wonderful. And I am like mega busy with clients as well. I'm absolutely topped up, which is also good. But
fantastic.
Yeah,
she's I keep seeing she puts her, when people talk about it, and it's like just almost every day there's another person she's helped, there's another person she's saved, there's another trauma she's saved. I mean, what a difference you make, Claudia.
It's so fabulous. Yeah, and I love it. I feel very humbled actually to be able to do this for people. But what's great is that people keep I'm not actually having, I don't really actually have to advertise. It's referrals again now, me. Just this I've actually got I've got a waiting list, so that's pretty good, isn't it? So
that's fabulous.
Sweet.
I mean, it's sad that so many people have trauma and so many people need help, but on the other hand, the beautiful thing is
it doesn't take long. People do not. That's the thing. People don't need to see me forever. They don't. It's like 3-4 sessions.
Well, like I said, I might be adding to your list of folks to go to. I've got friends of mine who deal with all kinds of issues, everything from trying to recover from and deal with the issues of breast cancer and things of that nature, on down to folks that are dealing with MS and dementia and addiction. So like I said, I might have to go talk to my friends and might have a whole list of about 10 or 15 folks that might be reaching out to you, Claudia. So like I said, it does seem like a lot of these things are things that you're doing research on, because I know, if I remember correctly, MS is also something that deals with neurology and muscle memory and things of that nature. So hopefully there's going to be some major breakthroughs in that, because that is something we're seeing folks getting happen and everything. So hopefully we'll see some breakthroughs in that as well.
Well, absolutely, because it's the trauma of finding that out, you see, and then it's the tools for anxiety, and and that is what you can give to, again, because I see people who have cancer. Again, it's about how to handle those things. So it's the news, isn't it? Yeah. Again, I can't take the cancer away, but I can't take the Alzheimer's away. But it's but we can help the people actually go into rementia, which is fantastic.
That's a wonderful thing. I did find the video that I wanted to bring up as we wind everything down and everything. So I didn't know if you had any parting thoughts, either Claudia or Tish, as we have this lovely show that Tish does every week. But my first question for her is, what is your next guest next week? Because you have these fantastic people. I'm trying to still figure out where you find all these wonderful people in your friend circle. But I just wanted to know who we've got next week, because I have not seen a bad guest yet, and I'm always glad to pop you in and help you in any way that I can, to, including being the producer, but also helping you with some of the interview and everything. So
Yeah.
always glad to be part of the team. But who do we got next week?
We have cannabis farmers next week. And cannabis farmers, so the benefits of CBD, but also there's a lot of political issues with cannabis and CBD, and potentially what is going on the political spectrum versus what really can help people. From my perspective, it's, here's a product that can help people, but the politics are in the way. So, part of the question is, of course, how can it help us? What can, all this kind of thing. But the other part is North Carolina. We have perfect growing, we have the perfect environment to grow cannabis. And, it'd be nice to have a cash crop. Tobacco used to, really bring in the money for some people, at least in North Carolina. But anyway, the thought is that, I think North Carolina should, instead of slowing down and stopping things, we really need to step up what we're doing, because again, it's a natural source to help people as well as provide income and revenue for the state of North Carolina. So I think it's a pretty important topic.
It should be a great conversation. I might actually have to bring you an additional guest to the ones that you've already lined up, because the online dinner party, which is one of the 3 shows that I do, that I am the primary host of, and that's on Wednesday. Our guest last week, or this past week, was Jillian Riley, who is running for soil and water conservation in North Carolina, and she is actually a proponent of hemp as being one of those industries that North Carolina goes into here in the Durham County area. So I might have to see if Jillian is able to pop in on your show.
That'd be fabulous.
So I will reach out to her. And like I said, I know she's busy campaigning, so can't promise that she will. But if she's available, I'll see if we can't pull her into that conversation on next Saturday as well. So definitely, I'm going to reach out to her and see what she can do as we have these powerful conversations. Because like I said, there's a lot of very interesting conversations that are going on and things of that nature. I did have the banner rolling across for ClaudiaRickert.com. So hopefully folks will go and get some more of Claudia's information also, and get just increase all of her clientele and all of that wonderful stuff. So Claudia, you got any final thoughts that you want to share with folks, other than the fact that all of Durham probably needs to come and rush your as well as the globe, since we are a global network?
I just keep laughing. Smiling. Everybody keep smiling. But I want to thank you both. This has been such good fun. I can't believe actually it's been nearly 2 hours again.
Yeah.
So that's how long my appointments are, 2 hours. Can you see how quickly it goes by?
Yes.
Amazing.
Yes.
So it's like, yeah. So no, I've really enjoyed it. So thank you for having me.
No problem.
Thank you, Claudia.
And on that note, and knowing that we'll be back next week with another exciting edition of Plant a Seed with Tish Oakley, we're going to ready to bring up that song that she loves so much, which is Born Feeling. So that is going to come up right now. So we'll wrap it up with that way. And then, like I said, we'll be back next week with more exciting information, this time around cannabis. But of course, we're always engaged in great conversation.
Thank you, Mark.
To work.
Let me see your face.
Yeah, there we go.
There you go. Thank you, Claudia. Thank you. Thank you, Mark.
Yeah.
Coisa boa, boa, coisa desperta. Canta, caia, caia nos liberta. Caia, caia. Deixa a janela do sorriso.
You know, one of these days I need to figure out what she's actually saying. I don't even know what language she's speaking.
Canta, caia, caia, nos liberta, dá bom feeling. Bom feeling, yeah, yeah. Bom feeling. Bom feeling, yeah, yeah. Deixa de complicação, deixa de confusão. Liberta a alma dessa prisão. Uai, yeah. Deixa de guiar o coração. Deixa de complicação, deixa de confusão. Liberta a alma dessa prisão. E deixa-te guiar pelo coração. Dá-me bom feeling. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Bom feeling. Yeah, yeah.